So I went to the Museum of Fine Arts, Museum of Fine Arts Houston, Museum of Fine Arts Houston, and I wanted to go because they had a Frida Kahlo exhibit. I've known of Frida Kahlo for a long time. I've studied a little bit in college too, so it was really fun to see pictures of. Let's go over that first. Pictures of pictures that I've seen in textbooks, but that I never thought I'd see in person. So like, uh, let's put them here. This is editor me. Remember that. So the first picture, the red picture, the self-portrait. She was in her early 20s. That was a really beautiful picture. I'd never seen that one before, so it was really interesting to see that. And then she has her hand in like the you see like the even older portraits and things of that nature that would have their hand like that, which is always interesting. There's her husband Diego. I thought this was one of the really interesting pictures he drew of her sitting, which I thought was very nice. Again, right here. This is one I've seen a lot. It's not one of the big ones, but I have seen this a lot in textbooks and things of that nature, and like following her for many years. The portrait of her with the monkey and the little the cholo dog in front of her. They're all staring in, kind of like the dog is kind of. These were the notes that came with it, the auto tour. That the dog is looking at you and you have to kind of get through the dog to get to her. I thought that was an interesting Paul. And then there's a gold ribbon that goes around her neck and goes around the monkey and goes around the dog and goes around the figurine on the corner to kind of tie everything together, which I thought was really nice. The other one was kind of a transition of hers. So she's standing with one foot in the water, one foot on the land. There's a child body with an arm. She has no hands, and she's next to a form that only has an arm. It's like surrealist and stuff like that. It's just like what she specialized in. It was really wonderful. I thought that was one of the better ones. The one that I thought was really interesting. She was commissioned to take a portrait of someone, and they committed suicide. So she did a portrait of their suicide, of them laying on the ground, and the way the person is laying on the ground, and they just have their eyes are open, and you can still see, like, she painted it in a way that there's still life in the eyes, which I thought was really interesting because the person's clearly dead. The blood is everywhere and everything. So these were, I just thought it was so much fun to go through and see all of these things. And then the rest of it was filled in with people that were influenced by her. And like that one, a couple of Diego pieces, and then everything else was influenced by her. So of course, you always exit through the gift shop. So walking through, I was like, well, if I see something really cool, I'll get something. I couldn't help it. I saw that. I saw this sitting here, and I was like, okay, if I'm gonna have like a little collectible, a little figurine of something like this, I definitely need to. Oh, I didn't realize these were numbered. This is a collectible piece, of course. So this is piece 2877 of 3000. So these aren't just like a little toy or a little figurine. These are actually collectible things, however you want to frame it. So let's take a look at her. I saw it was, like I said, it was sitting in display. So I saw it and I thought that was wonderful. It goes back to the monkey. So Frida with her monkey on the side and a butterfly in her hand. I just thought it was really nice. It's interesting because you always see figurines like this of pop culture and things of that nature, which arguably she became a part of pop culture in her lifetime, thankfully, a little bit. She saw some of her success, and then she had sort of a renaissance, I believe it was in the mid 80s, because like Madonna talked about her and things of that nature. Mid to late 80s, there was a huge Frida. It might have been the late 80s into the early 90s, because that's where I first learned of Frida. A friend of mine in middle school knew about her, and then he started telling me, he was reading a book and he was telling me about her, and I'd never heard of Frida up until that point. But yeah, that's cool. Mexico, Frida Kahlo. Yeah, okay. There's a couple more things. This was just, it's a candle, a slow burn candle from St. Paul, Minnesota, to our allies in Minnesota, getting a shout out here. So it's a burn time of 8 hours, and just look at that skull. Lovely, lovely, lovely skull. So of course we have these dirty thugs of ICE in Minnesota roughing people. They're here in Houston too, but they're working with HPD, and the mayor's trying to pretend like he didn't know. They're all vile creatures, really. So this is a slow burning candle. I just thought it looked really cool. And of course, you know, in Mexican culture, the skull plays a big part of it. And it's always funny because, like, I just gravitate towards them anyway, and then I'm like, oh, maybe there's a reason why I gravitate towards them. Just culturally, it's just something that you always see. So of course, speaking of culturally, the last thing I saw this on my website. Was like, you gonna get that? And I was like, yeah, of course. A candle, a Frida candle. So this is the regular, like a candle you put like for like prayer, or like for like what am I thinking of? The ofrenda for Day of the Dead and things like that. So that's what this is too. So an image of Frida, because she did take photographs, because she had friends that were photographers, because she was in the art community in Mexico City. So there's all kinds of people with all kinds of mediums, and photography was still relatively new, and color photography was like a big thing, because it was like the newer thing at the moment, because this is in the late 40s, I believe that one, like this picture was from. It's because I didn't realize, I thought she lived to be a lot older, but now I realized she only lived to be in her late 40s or early 50s, I believe. Did it say her age? That was the thing that I kept seeing, and I was like, oh, I'm older than Frida now. I'm just gonna have to look it up so I don't feel like a dummy and have to put it in later. There's also an exhibit, Ernesto Neto, while I'm looking this up, that has an exhibit where everything's just hanging from the ceiling, and it's actually absolutely an amazing thing. Age at death. She was 47, so she was my age. I've just turned 47 as of this recording, like 2 days ago. My birthday just happened on the 20th. But yeah, that was something that kept, because I went there on my birthday, because I took the day off, because I don't want to work, and then I especially don't want to work on my birthday. So yeah, I just kept seeing that and kept thinking, you know, I didn't realize she was, because when I was young, when you're young and a little, like a teenager, early 20s, you see somebody in their 40s, they might as well be, you know, made out of stone. And you don't, now I see somebody and it's like, that's in their 50s, I'm like, oh, it's not that old at all. I'm right around the corner. So I see something like this, and I see her, and I see she was only 47 when she died, my age. Gives a completely different perspective. Something you can't mimic, something you can't fake, is perspective. Just over time, your perspective on life changes, and how everything is viewed. So anyway, I just wanted to share my Frida stuff. It's a beautiful exhibit. It runs through May. I'm putting this out at the end of March. It just started at the beginning of March, I believe, or the late February, I believe. Anyway, if you're in Houston, go to the museum, go see it. It's really wonderful, and there's all kinds of, this is of course the stuff that you buy. The art, of course, is the reason you go. So definitely go see the pieces if you haven't seen them. They're really wonderful.